Imagine a time when dancing could get you arrested, and playing Elvis records was considered a threat to society. Welcome to New Zealand in the 1950s, where rock and roll music sparked one of the most unusual moral panics in the country's history. It all began in 1956 when rock and roll fever hit New Zealand's shores. The sounds of Elvis Presley and Bill Haley were transforming teenagers into what adults saw as uncontrollable rebels. But nobody was prepared for what happened next. In cities across New Zealand, young people began gathering in movie theaters and dance halls, moving their bodies in ways that horrified their parents' generation. The arrival of Johnny Devlin, dubbed New Zealand's Elvis, only added fuel to the fire. His performances drove teenagers into such a frenzy that authorities began to panic. These young people are being whipped into a state of primitive hysteria, declared one concerned Auckland city councillor in 1957. This isn't music, it's a disease spreading among our youth. The situation reached boiling point in 1958 when riots broke out in several cities. In Wellington, hundreds of teenagers clashed with police outside movie theaters showing rock and roll films. In Christchurch, young rockers battled with local bodgies, New Zealand's version of greasers, leading to dozens of arrests. Police began raiding dance halls, breaking up gatherings they deemed too wild. Some cities even banned rock and roll dances altogether. Local newspapers ran sensational headlines warning of teenage rebellion and moral decay, while parents' groups demanded government action to protect their children from this American poison. The hysteria reached such heights that some radio stations refused to play rock and roll music before 6 p.m., fearing it would corrupt young listeners. School principals reported students breaking into spontaneous jive sessions during lunch breaks, treating it as a serious disciplinary issue. But here's the irony. The more authorities tried to suppress rock and roll, the more popular it became. Johnny Devlin's records were selling faster than they could be pressed. Underground dances sprang up in warehouses and private homes. Young New Zealanders had caught the rock and roll bug, and there was no turning back. By late 1958, the panic began to subside as rock and roll became mainstream. The dire predictions of social collapse never materialized. Instead, New Zealand had experienced its first true youth revolution, forever changing its cultural landscape. Today, those teenage rebels are grandparents, and their dangerous music is considered classic pop culture. But the rock and roll riots remain a fascinating reminder of a time when a few guitar chords and a hip-swinging dance move could spark a nationwide moral crisis. It shows us how quickly society can panic over cultural change, and how young people's passion for music can overcome any attempt to silence it.